The emergence of eukaryotes demands the presence of oxygen gas, and there are many theories as to where the oxygen came from. The Great Oxidation Event occurred about 2.4 billion years ago, where there was a sudden increase in the amount of oxygen on Earth. Some suggest that oxygen may have always been present, and that the sudden increase was caused by the emergence of cyanobacteria. Others suggest that oxygen is the product of carbon dioxide and energy that would break apart into carbon and oxygen molecules. There are many explanations as to where organic molecules came from, for instance, the Miller-Urey experiment. The entire experiment was created to mimic earlier conditions of the Earth. Water is heated and then passed through a reduced atmosphere with methane, ammonia, and hydrogen. Energy was then shot through the water vapor to induce a chemical reaction, and the vapor was cooled. After running the experiment, the resulting solution turned pink, which indicated the presence of organic molecules.
The origin of organic molecules is accredited to three sources. According to the Miller-Urey experiment, lightning striking the Earth's surface created a reducing environment that allowed for chemical reactions to produce organic molecules. Molecules of organic carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen were thought to be synthesized by deep-sea hydrothermal vents, and meteorites and dust from comets contained organic matter. According to a paper by Max Bernstein, organic molecules are capable of being produced on massive asteroid bodies in space, as the radionuclides found within the rock are able to stabilize water. Also in consideration is the abundance of surfaces, high temperatures, and hydrocarbons found in solar nebulas. These kinds of conditions allow for the synthesis of numerous organic molecules in outer space, some of which include CH4 and NH3. These extraterrestrial sources, among others, provided a source of organic compounds to be used in the beginnings of life on Earth. These basic organic molecules gradually came into conditions on Earth preventing hydrolysis, allowing the formation of polymers. These polymers were then linked together to form some of the basic biomolecules necessary for cells to function. Amino acids linked to form polypeptide chains, which will fold into proteins. A sugar, nitrogenous base, and phosphate linked to form a nucleic acid, either DNA or RNA.
Water percolated down into newly formed rocks under the seafloor and reacted with minerals to produce a fluid that is rich in hydrogen, sulfides, and other chemicals. The upwelling of thermal fluids then reacted with the early iron-rich water and formed carbonated rocks with iron-sulfur bubbles. Inside the bubbles, hydrogen reacted with carbon dioxide and formed simple organic molecules such as methane, formate, and acetate. Acetophosphate and pyrophosphate then spontaneously formed and initiated the formation of amino acids and nucleotides, ultimately leading to the formation of RNA and DNA. Fatty molecules coated with the iron-sulfur then form cell-like bubbles, and some of these bubbles would contain self-replicating sets of molecules. These form the first organic cells, called the protocells. The evolution of an enzyme called pyrophosphatase that catalyzes pyrophosphate production then allowed the protocells to extract more energy from the gradient between the alkaline fluid and the acidic ocean water. Some protocells then started using ATP and acetophosphate and pyrophosphate. Protocells then started to generate their own gradient by pumping protons across the membranes, using the energy released by the reaction between carbon dioxide and hydrogen. Once protocells could generate their own electrochemical gradient by storing up enough ATP by the above process, the cells can then leave the vent, and this led to the rise of bacteria and other archaea.
Protocells, or known as first cells, exist before any true cell, and this picture briefly describes the formation of protocell. At the beginning stage, a protocell contains mainly a fatty acid membrane which helps to selectively control what enters and exits the cell, and one or two RNA replicases in order to make copies of each other. During its cell replication, RNA nuclei traverses the protocell membrane and is used by the RNA replicase, or you can see as replication machinery, to make another copy of RNA. Meanwhile, cell's membrane grows through the addition of fatty acid. This increases the surface area of the protocell while the volume remains constant, and result in the elongations and instability of the protocell membrane. The membrane eventually divides, forming two baby protocells with the RNA replications randomly divided. These basic conditions for the origins of life led to a drastic change on Earth, from the Cambrian explosion to the appearance of Homo sapiens. Life has continued to develop via evolutionary means. Once the first protocells emerged, cell replication would lead to mutation, and the process of adapting to the Earth's many biomes began. Eventually, entire species would form as they are still today.